now. So I'm delighted to have Gemma Haley from an organisation called More Than a Score. People will know that More Than a Score has been campaigning over the issue of SATs tests in particular. So Gemma, thanks very much. And the next speaker, go on.
Hang on, I'll do it in chat. You need to unmute me.
You are unmuted. You are unmuted.
It keeps telling me I'm... Oh, okay, am I? Sorry.
We can hear you anyway.
Sorry. It's always me. There's always one. Thank you so much for having me. I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. I'm massively inspired by all the other speakers and not exactly sure how I'm going to follow them, but anyway, I'll give it a go. Briefly, More Than a Score is a growing coalition of education experts, head teachers, teachers and parents. It's been in existence for about 3 years now, campaigning for a better system of assessment at the moment in primary schools, and an end to high stakes accountability, which is just, we feel, the scourge of primary schools. The pressure goes on to the heads, the pressure goes on to the teachers, the pressure goes on to the children. I speak very personally. My eldest son is autistic. He struggles in the system. I won't start crying, Mads, this time, I promise. When I talk about him, we struggle with anxiety with him. We've been very lucky. We have a psychologist who works with us, which means that he no longer arrives at school screaming now. But really, we shouldn't have to work like that. So to talk about More Than a Score, we work very much in partnership with teachers and head teachers. We don't want to set ourselves against them, with the ultimate aim of changing the way children are assessed in school. We have a number of things coming up that we would very much like parents to get involved in. Our thing at the moment is, I'm not sure if you've seen on social media, we have quite a big presence on social media, our anti-baseline, so reception baseline, which as far as we know is going to go ahead. We're waiting for the second reading to go through Parliament. We're keeping our ears close to the ground in case they try and sneak it through. Just as dreadful as it sounds, we think it's going to go ahead. That's the feeling. So that's 4-year-old children will be tested in English and maths within their first 6 weeks of starting primary school. We have a petition which has been running for about a year that's nearly 100,000 signatures against that. And we've just launched a campaign for people to write to their MPs, to lobby their MPs, to lobby government, to cancel it next year and frankly forever. If you can keep a look on our social media channels, I'll try and get the links and pop them in the chat, then we'd very much like you to write to your MPs. And then the other thing we've got going on is a cancel all primary assessment, cancel SATs in 2021, for all the reasons people have already said. We're launching that soon with a series of microfilms. So if you're a parent, you've got children and you'd like to film yourself, we have a wonderful producer we're working with. We want to be representative of all communities, and we strive to be. We could, as ever, do better, but we are striving and we are working on being much more representative. So those films will be released from next week. And we will be asking, we are setting up a parliamentary petition. So we are aiming for 100,000 signatures so we can force a debate in Parliament in stopping assessment next year and frankly forever. An interesting fact, we did a survey with YouGov a few months ago with parents, and it was a representative group. It was about 3,000, a database of 3,000 parents replied, and the majority didn't realise that their children were being tested in 5 out of 7 years of primary school. They just didn't know, and I think this is the problem, and what we're hoping with this situation and taking advantage in a way of this situation is parents are becoming much more aware about what their children are learning in school now. And you know, like everybody else, we are extremely concerned about the catch-up programme and that it's just going to narrow the curriculum again. You know, and how does it help? How does it help my son catch up? Does he catch up to working below national expectations again? I mean, what does it even mean? So to cut a long story short, please join us. We're always on the lookout for more parents to join our campaigns and help boost us on social media. I can post various links in the chats, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Gemma. I'm moving on swiftly because we're running out of time. I do want to finish by 7:45, partly because I've got to get the kids to bed. So the next speaker is Elaine Bennett from an organisation, Early Years Unique.
Hi, everybody.
Which I hope you know about. If you don't, Elaine's going to tell you.
Yes, I'll tell you about it. I might try in a minute and share my screen with you. So I might give that a little go. I'll put my timer on so I don't talk too long. Right, so my name's Elaine. I'm a reception teacher. It's great to see Madeline and Helen and Vix and Gemma. It's so lovely to see you all. But this is the time for change. I think under lockdown, I'm a parent of a teenager. That's been interesting. I'm a reception teacher, so I'm back. And I think we're all doing our best. We must be kind to ourselves and, you know, sending love out to everybody, whatever you're up to. It's tough times for us. But this is the moment that we can change things. The key is going to be parents. I'm not going to lie to you. And I think that is where sometimes it can be really difficult, because parents can be spun a line, especially about things like baseline. A lot of parents think baseline is okay, because they think it's helping us. I'm not going to go into much about baseline. I know we've heard a bit of it from Gemma already, but the baseline is disgraceful. And if we let it happen in our schools, I think it's a national disgrace, really, that we're even thinking about testing 4 and 5 year olds on English and maths. It's a disgrace at any time. It should never happen. But now, how this even can be going ahead is ridiculous. I had to do the baseline last year, Madeline. You'll be shocked to hear. I had to try it last year. Complete and utter waste of my time. Took me away from my children. They didn't know what was going on. Completely pointless. Plus, obviously, it's very hard to count yellow bears from 2 meters away. But I'm not going to go into that too much. So, yeah, parents, we need you more than ever. Education should not be a political football, but it is. And as a teacher, spending my time in reception, the early years are really under attack. And what is missing from early years policy that's been pushed down, especially at the moment, and there are reforms coming to early years which are completely not based on evidence or research, they're completely based on ideology. And this awful narrative about disadvantaged, vulnerable, poor children, which I'm sick and tired of hearing about. What's missing from all of it is actually child development. And I'm a nursery nurse by trade. I know how children develop, and that is what's missing from our education system. Children are nowhere to be seen in it. So, you know what? I would love to see education taken out of politics and education being talked about, you know, across parliamentary groups and with people actually on the ground like myself who are walking the walk every day. You know, Nick Gibb has no idea about reception children, reception teaching. And I'm also sick and tired of the early years at the moment. So birth to 5 year old framework is under review. And the people who have been very powerful in deciding it are not people on the ground. They are the usual favourite suspects. And these people do not understand children. So, you're very aware of the time here. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you a couple of things, if I can share my screen, if this works.
Right.
There we go. Da, da, da. Does it work? I'm going to quickly just whiz through and show you a couple of things. Right, I know that we're blocking some pictures here. In the early years, right, we have 4 principles: unique children, relationships, environments, learning and development. Why do these only end? Why are these ending at the end of reception? These are principles for all of education. These are principles for life, okay? Also, oh, I really don't like this. It's not going to work for me now, is it? Hang on. Oh,
Elaine, I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, you're not seeing anything. It does say screen share. Can you see anything, Vicky? No? Okay, I'm going to come out of that.
I've just got a black screen.
No, I'm going to come back to you.
I don't think it works.
Early years, our principles are based on relationships. Can you see me now? Unique children, environments. These are principles for all of education. We need to put things like, when children go back, I know what's going to happen with catch-up. It's going to be phonics and maths. That is no one's priority right now. Our priority is children's mental health well-being, their language, their physicality, those really important prime areas. Our children are being forced to learn things that around the world they're not learning until they are 6 or 7 years old. Why are we making them learn them at 4 or 5? So I would really love parents to stand with us, because what is coming in terms of early years changes are completely all about what is learnt from books. That is the agenda of the Ofsted and the government, what children learn from books. In other words, what we put into their heads. That is not education. We're going to start with children. I see my time is beeping, so I'm going to quickly finish. We can't speed up child development, so stop the catch-up programs. We want to catch up, actually invest in our children, invest in our families, invest in our profession. And I'm going to quickly finish on this. Thank God, people are actually realising that children are going to need to play in year 1 this year. Thank God. Because actually year 1 and year 2, children are still in the early years. Children need to be playing just as they do in reception and nursery. And I'm just sending my love out at the moment to our colleagues who are often forgotten about, our colleagues working in the preschool sector who have been completely shafted during this situation. We are seeing so many of them now having to close their doors. They're selling their equipment all over Facebook. They haven't been funded properly. They're having to furlough staff, and it's a complete mess. So parents, please get with us, say no to baseline, and start demanding that your schools start with your child and not catching them up in things like phonics that do not matter when you are 4 years old. Thank you very much. Love to you all.
Brilliant.
Hang in there.
Brilliant, Elaine. I did
Thank
try to get
you.
someone from the nursery sector to speak, but I ran out of time, and
Yeah, they're completely forgotten about, and it's
happened.
disgraceful.
It's bad, and it's a shocking situation. Okay, our next